It's an awesome Saturday, and it's good to be back on your screens to give you nothing but the best in terms of sports and where sports is concerned. This is Off the Pitch, a show that comes your way every Saturday. That's at 9:30, and I'm your host for the day, Amos, aka Amore, and I'm not alone on set. I'm joined by one Augustine. Augustine, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Amos. It's always a pleasure to be here. We turn all the glory and honor to the Most High God. Good morning to our viewers out there. We always appreciate you tuning in to this show, and we hope to give you nothing but the very best. And today it's a very, very big day in Zambian football, the biggest game in the land. And I think it's not just the biggest game in Zambia, it's one of the biggest games in Africa, and it takes center stage this afternoon in Kitwe. I think it will be an exciting, there will be fireworks at the stadium.
We'll come to that, Augustine, after some time from now, when we come and take a look at the biggest derby that Augustine is saying. That's the Kitwe derby. But for now, we'll just love to send our message of maybe a quick recovery to one Uncle Rapson, who is not well today and he's watching us right now. Uncle Rapson, get well soon so that you can join us next week on set. For now, we'll just take a very, very short break as we get back and take a look at what happened within the course of the week.
Hey, join me, Amazing Katamanda, on the weekly gospel show for those exciting and interesting interviews with your favorite gospel
Hold on to me when it's too dark to see. You cannot put your power back to
Hallelujah.
And this time around, we are bringing to you entertainment news and the countdown, as you guys are able to nominate your top 3 favorite music videos of the week. Remember, it's every Saturday at 10:45. You can also catch repeats every Monday at 10 hours. Camnet TV is not just another time.
We saw the under-17 men's national team playing a friendly. That's against Senegal, and we managed to beat Senegal. That's by 4 goals to 2. And it's a result, Augustine, that mostly if it was the senior national team, a lot of people wouldn't expect such a result.
I think it was a very, very good preparatory friendlies for the young boys who are going into this Africa Cup of Nations with a lot of confidence. You remember for the under-20, the result was the other way. They lost 4-2 to Senegal as they were preparing for the Africa Cup of Nations. The under-17, I think that the only fear that we have is that they haven't had enough friendlies like probably the under-23 had, probably the under-20 had, but they're going into this big tournament, and a lot of hope is on these boys. There are our remaining hope when it comes to age group teams, because the under-23 failed to qualify to the Africa Cup of Nations. They were beaten by Egypt on 2 legs. Then the under-20 were eliminated in the group stages of the Africa Cup. Now the boys are going there as defending champions of the COSAFA region. They are going with a lot of confidence, and they will try and replicate what they did at the COSAFA level at this big stage, which is now the African stage. And it's not going to be easy. We're in a very, very tough group. If you ask me, you've got odd nemesis in South Africa. Then we've got Nigeria, who are probably the strong favorites to qualify outright from this group. And then you've got Morocco. We do not know much about Morocco when it comes to age group football, but they'll always be a threat because they have got a lot of educated young boys that will hurt you at any given day. With the team that Ian Bakala has assembled, you would have a lot of confidence and hope to try and believe we might just go all the way and probably qualify for the World Cup, because there are 4 slots at this tournament. The teams that will get into the semi-finals, they automatically qualify to the World Cup, and we would love to be one of those teams, because we already have the Copper Queens who have qualified to the World Cup, and to add the under-17 there, I think it will be a very, very good achievement and a step in the right direction when it comes to Zambian football. We've got some exciting names in the group. I think I was listening to the interview of Lini Kambesuma just a couple of days ago, and he was super excited to be part of the group, and he said he knows his father has written his name, but he's coming here as Lini Kambesuma, and he wants to write his own name, because the father is, I think, is a legendary figure when it comes to Zambian football. There's a lot of hype surrounding the boy, and we hope he lives up to expectation. There are a couple of boys in there who, obvious Mwaliteta, lanky central midfielder, I think he's very, very decent in possession. It's going to be exciting to see what he brings to the table. Our captain in Aaron Piri, Atletico Lusaka, he plays as a centre back at times, but Ian Bakala deploys him in that holding role. So he's got players that can change possession, and depending on how we want to approach the game, how the dimensions that we want to go, I think it's going to see how do they approach this tournament. The under 20, I think they were very, very poor. It was a disaster outing, we have to be honest. They were not brave enough. They were not confident enough. I think we are starting with the biggest team in the group, which is Nigeria. On the first game of the tournament for us. It's going to shape up where we will go in the remaining 2 games, performance-wise. I think in games like this, what you ask from your players is performance. Give me the performance. It doesn't matter how the end result will be, but give me a performance that you build confidence from going into the remaining games. I think that will be the very, very key message that Ian Bakala will try to send to his players. Let's go out there, let's fight, let's be brave enough, let's put on a show. Leave everything on the field of play. Do not go out of the game regretting you could have done more. Leave everything on the field of play, and the boys, if they do just that, they'll be proud of themselves, and it will give them a lot of confidence going into this other 2 games against South Africa and Morocco, who I believe are direct rivals for that slot to qualify out of this group, because Nigeria look strong favorites to qualify out of the group. But football being what it is, it's always a gamble. It's very, very unpredictable. You do not know what will happen during the course of the tournament. There might be injuries that will affect certain teams. There might be suspensions that might affect certain teams. So it's a mixture of everything. If you ask me, I think the technical bench, they have got a lot of people who understand the game. There is Billy Mwanza, who is part of that technical staff. Joseph Musonda, he's been at Africa Cup of Nations. He's won it. He will try and give the boys the right messages. And I just hope the boys go out there and conquer Africa.
Mostly, Augustine, I think we've played some tournaments, me and you together, and we always used to see the person who is in charge would say, whatever tournament you play, the first game is a must-win. And let's look at the motivation that these guys have after beating Senegal by 4-2. Do you think they'll go into this game with the same hype? And are you seeing Coach Ian Bakala starting the same 11?
Yeah, I think the game against Senegal was very, very key in the way how we prepare for the tournament, how we prepare for Nigeria. Was a West African opposition. I think now we've got a feel and an understanding of the teams that we are going to play, which is Nigeria, sorry. So it gives you enough confidence. We went toe-to-toe with Senegal. Probably we outclassed them, especially in the first half. Three goals in the first half, and we were on top of things. Second half, it wasn't the best like the first half was. Now it gives you a reflection of where you are as a country. Now we can go out there and compete with teams like Senegal. We are very, very close to try and being a force at this age group tournament. We were in the Southern African region. There's no question. We dominated. We went and beaten the entire tournament. So it gives you the picture of where we are now with this team for Ian Bakala. They have had a lot of time in camp. They've worked together. We had a game at Ngoloma Stadium, and I was privileged enough to attend the game. It was the All-Stars versus the rest. It was the best of the best from all the 10 provinces that came to Ngoloma Stadium, and they played. Then Ian Bakala picked the some players from that list. If you remember, Amos, the team that won the COSAFA, he only retained 13 players of them. So you could see that he's going with form. He's not going with past record. He's going with form. The players that are doing very well, the players that will try and give him something different at the tournament. So I think I'm very, very confident and positive with this team that we've assembled. There are a couple of young, exciting boys from Kafue Celtic that really will be very, very key for us in this tournament, because they are playing a very, very high league. They are playing in the National League. That composure, that competitive nature that surrounds them every week, they can try and bring it to the table and help Mother Zambia probably go into the semi-finals, qualify to the World Cup, and eventually go and trying to win the tournament.
Your confidence levels, Augustine, towards this team are too high. And let's look at the group that we are in. We are starting our first game, that's tomorrow, that's against Nigeria. And we've got the likes of South Africa and Morocco that we have to face. But let's look at how the fans are expecting this group to, the result in this group to be, Augustine. Where are you seeing our young lads reaching? Do you have hope that they will make it?
I think from what I've seen with these boys, I feel we've got what it takes to qualify out of this group alongside Nigeria. I think it would be disappointing to see Nigeria not qualifying. But I feel Nigeria are just too strong with their structures of their youth football. I think they are very, very brilliant. We've seen players that have come through. You remember Kalechi Iheanacho went on to win the World Cup for the under-17, and he's now playing for Leicester City. They've got Victor Osimhen. He's been through the same path. He's now playing in Naples. Odion Igalo. I think the list is endless. Nigeria really do take this age group tournament very, very serious, and they always try to polish up their boys at this stage. That's why I feel Nigeria are the team that will qualify alongside Zambia, because if you look at South Africa, yes, we played them back-to-back, 2 games here in the COSAFA. We won the 2 games. They will have studied us, and they will try to make it difficult for us when we meet at the Africa Cup of Nations. They've brought in a couple of additions. I've seen players from Germany that have joined South Africa, so they won't be the same South Africa that we beat at the COSAFA region. And we are not the same Zambia that won that COSAFA region. There have been some additions that have come to the team. So we just hope Ian Bakala will assemble a very, very strong team that will try and conquer Africa. And I believe we will beat South Africa, we will beat Morocco, and qualify with Nigeria.
But you've missed it on Nigeria, Augustine. That's the prediction that I wanted you to give. You've only given on who beat South Africa, who beat Morocco. Nigeria.
I think if we get anything out of that game, will be a bonus.
Anyway, all the best to the lads as they take on Nigeria tomorrow, and Coach Ian Bakala managed to assemble a very strong team, and hopefully they will be able to make us proud. And like we've noticed, Augustine, FAZ has invested a lot in developmental football, and for Ian Bakala to assemble this, meaning it's a cream of the country that we have. But anyway, all the best to the lads as they take on Nigeria tomorrow. So for now, we'll just take a look at how the game is being hyped. That's the derby, because that's one thing, Augustine, you spoke of earlier. So if you can just have that video clip of how the derby is being advertised, that's the Nkana versus Power Dynamos derby.
Fired up fans and a city divided. It's Aba Red versus Aba Yellow.
Derby day in Kitwe here.
Did you know this will be the 37th clash between Power and Kana since 2000?
The greatest derby in Zambia.
Power holding the upper hand with 16 wins. A rivalry like no other. Don't miss a moment of the Kitwe Derby, live on your World of Champions.
Augustine, away from the under-17, we've seen how, I don't know, do you feel like we market this derby to the full capacity?
I think, firstly, if you look at how we schedule our football in Zambia, I think it leaves much to be desired. We've talked about this every week with Mr. Skombi.
Yeah.
This period has been a 4-day holiday in Zambia. I think it's been a long weekend, starting Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
till
and
Monday.
Yeah. What has the Football League manager and his team done? They've scheduled 7 games to be played today, 15 hours. 7 games to be played today, 15 hours. Sunday tomorrow, 2 games to be played 15 hours. All the 9 games done in 2 days, both played 15 hours. I think to me it doesn't make sense. We had Friday, we could have had some games that have been played, that could have been played on Friday. We could have had games that would have been played today, Saturday. Sunday we could have had some games again, and Monday we could have utilized this opportunity to give the fans out there the opportunity to watch Bola Yapazedi and see the different qualities and what teams bring to the table. What happens this afternoon is that Kitwe Derby is being played at 15 hours with 7 other games. So Nkwazi faithfuls will be at Edwin Mbwela watching their team play Red Arrows. Likewise, Red Arrows fans will be at Edwin Mbwela watching their team. Napsa Stars in Changa, likewise. I think it's, if you look at teams, we could have had probably the Kitwe Derby being played at 1800 hours when all these other games are done, so that we could have a lot of viewers to watch the game. And those that will be trekking to the stadium, we could have had a big number of people that would have watched the game. But we divide the fans because we do not schedule our football in a way that is supposed to be. Kitwe Derby, 15 hours. The rest of the league games, 15 hours on a Saturday. I think to me, I don't understand the logic behind it.
Or imagine putting a Kitwe Derby Augustine tomorrow, Sunday, and just maybe putting it with a game, or maybe 1 or 2 games. And you see, this is where I feel like we don't know how to monetize these games, because this is one of the biggest derbies that we have here in Zambia and in Africa at large. But looking at it being played today, like you've said, it's already fans divided. And imagine maybe I'm a Ghana fan, I would want to go there today and watch the game. But I can't, because I would say, okay, I'll monitor it on phone. Let me do this. But how best would these people realize in terms of, if you've noticed, I'll give this example. If you follow Punch most of the times, and he always emphasizes on how to monetize things. How best can these people realize to say we need to start monetizing these gate takings that we take in stadiums?
Football is a business, and we need to try and look at it at that angle. A lot of teams have benefited from very good marketing, and they've hyped their game very well. I think the Kitwe Derby, I think it's one of those games that on its own it hypes everyone. The Kitwe Derby just on its own. I think how do we try and get everyone involved? I think we try and isolate the Kitwe Derby from the rest of the games. That's one step that needs to be taken. We had a very special day in Zambia yesterday. We were commemorating 30 years of the Gabon disaster, and it was again Kenneth Kaunda, first Republican presidency. That's his day. It would have been even more special if the Kitwe Derby would have been played on a Friday, on a very special day, to try and have everyone glued to their TV sets, everyone trek to the stadium and support Bola Yapazedi. The numbers would have been huge, almost believe me. That would have watched the game on TV, that would have trekked to the stadium. After Davis Stadium will be filled to the rafters. No question about that. But the division that we get is that there will be fans today that will be going to watch their teams. We are having National League football. It's being played on a Saturday again. They didn't utilize yesterday. They didn't utilize tomorrow. They didn't utilize Monday. We are playing Saturday, Sunday. 2 top leagues of the country. The National League and the Super League played 15 hours. It's uniform now in Zambian football. How do we get people to watch as many games as they can?
Yeah.
Even the coach Avram Grants, are we trying to help Avram Grants? Because
how is he going to do his selection?
He can only be at one place at one time, at a given time.
And today we are certain he's going to be in Kitwe.
And probably there would be a hidden gem probably at a different stadium that will try and play some good football. But I think we need to sit down and see how we structure our fixtures. We are a country that has bid for the Africa Cup of Nations to try and host the Africa Cup of Nations. Why are we playing football 15 hours? If we are going to host Africa Cup of Nations, we are not going to play games here 15 hours. Some games will be played at night. So in my own thinking, I think we have submitted a bid. Let's try to think that this bid has been accepted, and let's try to adjust in such a way whereby we are the country that is hosting the Africa Cup of Nations. We start trials. We start these trials. Kitwe Derby to be played at around 18 hours. Those are the trials that we need to, the steps that we need to start taking, because what happens with when the bid is successful? then the time for us to start the trials and try and error will be very, very slim for us to try and get the best quality when Africa comes to Zambia. I think we need to try and change how we do our football. Kitwe Derby is very, very prestige. You could have done it in a different way.
And okay, before we talk of the game itself, Augustine, maybe just a quick one on this one. Let's look at the way these guys... I feel like we don't have those hyped promoters that are there, but I'll give an example just maybe away from soccer. I think you saw how social media went ablaze when we had this issue of maps trying to fill up Hero Stadium. And on the same day, we had we were supposed to have Kofi Olomide perform on the same day. But look at how those promoters just came to agreement to say, oh, okay, no, let's switch dates. Maybe the other one performs on this day, the other one performs on the 27th. Maybe these are things that these people who arrange these games should maybe try to get something from there, because like you've said, imagine, and you've spoken of this many times, Augustine, let's have games being played. Maybe the other game should be played at 13. What if I want to watch all the games? Let another game be played at 13, another one at 15, another one at 18. But we've seen with the Ladies League, it's happening now at Woodland Stadium. But what's so hard for this league to emulate that?
I think I do not understand why we cannot do that, because last weekend, I'll give you an example, we had Red Arrows play Musa at Koloma Stadium.
One of the biggest games.
We had Zanaco playing Kansanshi Dynamos at Sunset Stadium. Then we had Zesco United playing Green Buffaloes at Edwin Imbwela Stadium. And we had Young Buffaloes playing Jumulo at Independence Stadium. All the games in Lusaka were played on Saturday. What
am I going to do on a Sunday?
You get
Should they leave Lusaka?
So now we are giving these people opportunity to say, okay, Saturday we watch Zambian football. Now, Sunday they do not have anything to watch. Local football is done on a Saturday. They now switch to the European leagues. And if these people now start following the European leagues more than they are doing with the local leagues, where the ones that are coming to cry foul. I'll give you an example. I think I cover a lot of press conference.
Yeah.
We didn't have anything regarding the Kitwe Derby yesterday. I think to me it's a it's a shameful thing. We could have had a very, very powerful press briefing for just build up for this game, but we didn't do that. We had press briefing for Napsa Stars against the Anchanga Rangers. I attended that press briefing. We had another press briefing Kwazi against Red Arrows, a small local derby in Lusaka. And they did that, but we didn't have that when it came to the Kitwe Derby. I think we can try and improve. We can really try and improve the way we do our football here in Zambia.
And talking of talking of that, Augustine, let's now go to the game itself. How is it being hyped? When we look at it's a derby that, if you see the ad that we just played, Augustine, they start recognizing the derby as back as 2000, and it's something that we feel like even Ango Rapson has even given his prediction. But we're looking at the Power Dynamos, Augustine, who stands at position number 1, and we are looking at Ngana, who is at position number 10. And it's something that there will be pride here. But going into this game, Augustine, who are you giving it to?
I think it's a very, very tight call. If you ask me, Amos, what we'll get from this game is Ngana side that will try as much as possible to try and slow Power Dynamos. Ngana wouldn't want to see Power Dynamos win the league in their face. They will try and slow down Power Dynamos so that they may win it, I think, the coming weeks, not against Ngana Football Club. And again, the Power Dynamos side is the side that is looking to close on the league title. They were slowed down when they went to Chingola, played to a goalless draw against Nchanga Rangers. Ngana lost to Green Eagles at Ngana Stadium. So these are two teams that are coming from different results, and it's going to be interesting to see how they respond. I think we've seen fireworks in this game, and I'll pick one game that I remember, the opening of Levi Mwanawasa Stadium. Ngana were butchered 5-1 by Power Dynamos at the Levi Mwanawasa Stadium, and Ngana fans wouldn't want to remember that. And we've seen good moments in the Absa Cup when they played at Nkoloma Stadium. Ngana won it by 2-0. I think one of the scorers was Kelvin Kampamba Mwanga, scored from a brilliant free kick. We've seen players that have played for both sides. We've seen players that have just crossed the dual carriageway. We've seen coaches do likewise. And there's a lot at stake. every time when this game is being played, pride is on the line. Nkana Football Club, the most successful team when it comes to league titles in the land, they boast of that. Power Dynamos, the only team to have won the CAF Confederations Cup, Power and Inte. So what we've seen this season is a Power Dynamo side that was firing on all cylinders in the first half of the season, with Kennedy Musonda at the top of the tree, scored a lot of goals that pushed Power Dynamos to where they are right now. The second half of the season, they haven't been the most consistent side. They've dropped points, especially with draws. I think they've been probably one of the draw specialists in the league. If you look at Nkana, they had a very, very poor first half of the season, and they were in that relegation conversation. But how things have changed, I think we need to try and give credit to Beston Chambishi. The work is done with this Nkana team. Now they are in the conversation of sealing that second slot and qualifying for continental football, and it would be a very, very good achievement if Nkana went all the way and qualified for continental football, because now we would have the two Kitwe Giants representing Zambia. But I think January additions, you would argue who has been the best signing between Andy Boyle and David Kawala. They've all come into these football clubs and transformed them. They've worked very, very hard. They've been key to their progress in the last few weeks. Nkana were in the relegation doldrums. Now they are closer to qualifying for continental football. Andy Boeri, when Kennedy left for Yanga, you wondered what next for Power Dynamos, because it's very, very tricky in this league to find goal scorers, and he's going there and he's been getting them the goals. If you look at the Power Dynamo setup, what has brought them this far, I think it's being solid defensively. They've been working together as a team. The Power Dynamos is no longer the team that will want to dominate football. They want to outpass their opponent. They are very, very different in how they do things this time around under Munyash people. They will try and mix it up. They will go long at some point. They will try and play that beautiful football, short passes, and they will try and hit you on a counter when need arises. When they will have to drop off, they do drop off Power Dynamos and let you have possession and just manage the game from there. Owen Tembo has been a very, very good addition to this Power Dynamos central midfield. He moved from Konkola Blades to Power Dynamos, and to me, he has been one of the best signings of the season. Him in central midfield is made Linus Makwaza look very, very good in that holding role, together with Frederick Mulambia, who has been one of the most exciting midfielders in the land. Joshua Mutale, whoever is being played with Joshua Mutale ahead of Joshua Mutale, I think you are guaranteed to try and have creativity coming your way.
Because the guy is creative.
He's very, very smart boy, and if you look at Nkana on the other side, they've formed a very, very good partnership at the heart of defense of Stefan Chulu and Derek Makombozi. When things were hard for Nkana, you could see Beston Chambishi was playing three at the back. He had Bob Chansa, Derek Makombozi, and Stefan Chulu as three centre backs who are flanked by probably Lyson Tore and Kondwani Chiwoni. But now he's moved from the 5 or 3 at the back to a flat back 4, and Amon Chulu, the young under-20 player, has been very, very good for Nkana this season. And you've seen now Stefan Chulu has found a place in that Nkana team as a central defender, and he looks very, very different. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes toe-to-toe with Andy Boeli, that physical tussle. I think Andy Boeli fancies that, he loves that. And the Kitwe Derby will have a lot of fireworks this afternoon. Two goalkeepers. One thing about these two goalkeepers that are playing today, Rollins Mulenga and Mangani Banda. Remember, 2012 Zambia hosted the Zone 6 tournament. We went all the way to the final. We lost to South Africa by 2-1. We scored first through Chibuye Muliro. Then South Africa scored through Raket. 2 brilliant goals, which South Africa won the Zone 6 tournament. Who was in goal at that time? It was Mangani Banda, who was the goal minder for the Chipolopolo. And who was sitting on the bench? Lawrence Mulenga. Lawrence Mulenga was the deputy to Mangani Banda, but this time around, Lawrence Mulenga has become a far much better goalkeeper than Mangani Banda. His all-round game is brilliant. He comes out for crosses. His distribution is immense. His reflexes are very, very good. So, form is always thrown outside the window in the derby. It's about who wants it most, who win those individual battles, those duels, who win the first balls, who will be hungry to win the second balls, is the one that is going to win this particular derby. But I wouldn't be surprised if it ends in a draw.
I don't know if Uncle Rapson was going to agree with you, Augustine.
Uncle Rapson has fallen sick because of Power Dynamos. He's very much scared of Power Dynamos. That's why he couldn't come on set, because he's shaking, he's shivering. Even when it's cold in Kitwe, when the red half here, Andy Boeli, they are sweating.
Uncle Rapson has tried to defend himself here, Augustine. He's commented, Kalampa's form was halted by Green Eagles. Power Dynamos will have an edge this afternoon. Maybe, would you take this as being true, or maybe he's just trying to comfort himself, but deep down inside?
He's being realistic. I think Power Dynamos who go into this game as strong favorites. They are league leaders. They have lost only 2 games in the league. Compared to a Ghana side that has had a good run of form. I think they had gone about 8 games without defeat, but now they have been beaten by they were beaten by Green Eagles, a game which they could have won if they took their chances. They have got David Kavala in their side, and on a given day, David Kavala who put pressure on any defense in the league, and it will be interesting to see who wins the tussle between Andy Boyle and David Kavala. But I think one player who might be very, very key for Ghana this afternoon will be young Oliver Lumbia. He introduced himself to the big stage in this game, in the Kitwe Derby. Power won the game, but the boy was outstanding. If he can go there at Arthur Davis Stadium, stop Power Dynamos from playing in central midfield, cut that supply line between the midfield and attack those little spaces that Joshua Mutale likes to pick the ball from, close those spaces, I think Ghana will stand a chance if the boy will be on top of his game. Because if Oliver Lumbia dictates the tempo of the game, he will give Ghana the ability to hit Power Dynamos the other way, and which they can do that if they have been given control. In central midfield, they have got David Kavala. He loves to run in behind defenders. He will stretch Power Dynamos. And so once Kavala starts to stretch Power Dynamos, they will start to drop off. Probably now their flair players in Patrick Gondo and Harrison Chisala will get into those little pockets and make things happen.
So here's something, Augustine. The last time these 2 teams met in Ghana, lost to Power Dynamos by a goal to nil. And if we look at the stats of the last 5 games, Power Dynamos has managed to win about 3 games. 3 games, Augustine, and Ghana has managed to win 2 games, and the rest, the other game ended in a draw. But anyway, let's shift our attention, Augustine. One Coach Numba is hosting his former employees in Zanaco today, and we've seen Zanaco being managed by Wada Wada. Are we going to see a different Zanaco going into this game today?
Interesting enough, I think it's a case of master versus student. Against Numba Mamba. Numba Mamba always loves to get one over his former employers in Zanaco. When he was at Zanaco, didn't have the credit that he should get by Zanaco fans. I think he did very well in his time at Zanaco. There was at some point was interim. Then he got the job on a full-time basis. And if you look at Numba Mamba, what he's done at Kawhi Warriors, I think he's transformed their fortunes. He's made them believe they are staying up this season, and probably if they can build right in the transfer window, probably there will be a force coming into the second in the second half of the year when we start the new season.
Yeah.
So I think Wada Wada first game in charge at Levi Manasa Stadium, he got beat by 3-2 against Zesco United. Then they played the stubborn Kansanshi Dynamo side. It was a very, very tough game. Zanaco had to sweat for the victory, and it was a brilliant strike from Mustafa, who came in the January transfer window. He scored a brilliant goal, one of the goals of the season, to see Zanaco win 3 points, and the first win for Wada Wada since he took over the job at Zanaco. It took them out of the relegation zone, and it dragged Nkwazi Football Club back into that relegation zone. What should Zanaco do from now is try to put as much points on the board as possible to try and get away from this relegation conversation, because the points are very, very tight. They are very, very tight, starting from Kansanshi Dynamo on 39 points, Nchanga Rangers, Zanaco and Nkwazi. I think these are the teams that I feel are in that relegation zone, and one of them has to drop, because Buildcon are already down and out. Chambeshi will be relegated as well. Lumana Regents is another team that will be relegated. So it's about that 4th spot. It's heating up. Who has got what it takes to survive relegation? And answers will be given in the coming weeks. And Zanaco, they went against Kansanshi, got a result. Can they back that up? I think that has been Zanaco's undoing this season. They are not consistent enough. They need to try and replicate what they did to Kansanshi Dynamos against a very, very tricky Kawara side. This game might be one of those games that will again end in a draw, or probably in the favor of Cow Warriors.
Oh, I think, Augustine, you've spoken of teams that that you feel like might be relegated, and when we look at one Numana Radiance, and they are hosting, they are being hosted, sorry, or they are hosting Prison Leopards today, Augustine. And when we look at the setup of Numana Radiance, we've seen they've lost their coach and they've employed Fati. And I'm sure the target that was given to Muhammad Fati is to save them from relegation. But are we seeing any chances and hopes for them to survive? Because you've already, it's your opinion, you've already said they are relegated, but are there any chances that Muhammad Fati can turn things around?
There are very, very slim chances. I think the best chances Lumana Radiants had of staying up was if Bilton Musonda remained at the club until the end of the season. I think, but funny enough, Bilton Musonda resigned as Lumana Radiants coach. I think the blame should be put on the management, if you have to be honest. How much did they invest in this Lumana Radiants side coming to the Super League? I think teams will do well in the National League, but when you come to the Super League, it's a different animal. I think it's a very, very tough place to get points and results. They haven't been as dominant as they were in the National League when they were playing at home. Teams have gone to Monorumana grounds and gotten something out of that place, and away from home they've struggled. I do not remember seeing Romana putting up a very, very good performance away from home. They have struggled away from home, which is the reason why probably they will be relegated come the end of the season, because their home form hasn't been as brilliant as teams that do stay up. If you want to stay up in this league, make your home ground fortress. And away from home, whatever you get is a bonus. You go out there and fight for points away from home. Bilton Musonda has left. Now Muhammad Fati has come in. The last time Muhammad Fati was in the Super League, he relegated Napsa Stars into the National League. So I do not see a lot of hope with regards Muhammad Fati saving Romana Radiance from the jaws of relegation. If Muhammad Fati went into this job and there is a plan for next season, fair enough. I think that's what the Romana Radiance administration has to be thinking about this time around. How do we bounce back next season? Because I do not think they have got what it takes to put enough points on the board. They are on 31 points, and the last position for safety is about 35 points. It's numbers statistically, they've got a chance. But the performances on the board, on the field of play, I think they haven't been convincing enough. They do not have a lot of goal scorers. It's either Josephat Kasusu or nobody. I think the first half of the season they had Benjamin Mukanda, a defensive player who was getting them the goals. They haven't utilized his set pieces as most teams that are in the relegation zone tend to do. And you've seen that it has been very, very tough for the Romana Radiance. Their goalkeeping situation, they haven't rectified that. They've been chopping and changing in that area, and it has seen them get to where they are. I think it will be interesting to see how Muhammad Fati tries to speed up the process and probably survive relegation. One thing that I've seen, Amos, the teams that are in the bottom half, probably the top 6 teams, if I might pick, Zanaco have changed their coach. Chambeshi have changed their coach. Nkwazi have changed their coach. And the only team that hasn't changed their coach is Beautycon, the team that is already relegated. So it's interesting. All teams have changed their coach in the hopes to try and turn around their fortunes. But it's not everyone that will get that. You've seen Zanaco, probably the hope that Wada might see them over the line. Cow Warriors, it has worked magic for them. Kansanshi haven't changed Boyd Mulwanda. Nchanga Rangers changed their coach. Probably Agre Change might just do enough to see them survive relegation. It's interesting. All of the teams in the bottom 6, 7, they have changed their coach. Only 2, Kansanshi and Beautycon, haven't changed their coach. But I feel Lumana Radiance probably will be relegated.
FC Moza Augustine is hosting the relegated Beautycon today, and I don't know what has been happening, but we've seen how FC Moza has dropped points drastically, Augustine, from fighting continental football now into just playing for the sake of, oh, okay, maybe we might go back to that sport. But I don't know. I wouldn't even ask for a prediction on this one. But would Beautycon give us a shocker?
I think the first question is, will Beautycon turn up in Mazabuka? That's the biggest question. Because information as I was coming is that Beautycon are nowhere to be seen in Mazabuka. This is another walkover in the making in the Super League. 2 walkovers by Beautycon. The last one, they went, they were supposed to travel to Kansanshi. They didn't travel to Kansanshi. Then we asked on this show if they were going to turn up for the home game against Warriors. Yes, they did and got battered by 4 goals. Probably they feel losing 3-0 is better than the 5 and 4 goals we scoreline they're getting. They are supposed to play Musa this afternoon. And information is that Beautycon have not arrived in Mazabuka as things stand. This is another walkover in the making. I think there's a lot of drama in Zambian football. We need to put our house in order. Last weekend we had a game which was only played for 45 minutes at Ngoroma Stadium. This time around we have seen a situation where there will be a walkover. I think how much more should the fans take in one season? 2 walkovers, a game that has been played just for 45 minutes. I think to me we need to try and put our house in order. Let's try and put rules that will be very, very stiff for these football teams, that they shouldn't be behaving in such a manner. Look at Beautycon. Probably if they cannot fulfill fixtures in the Super League, how are they going to fulfill fixtures in the National League? Because the National League is very, very costly compared to the Super League, because teams are far all over Zambia. You have to travel very a lot of kilometers for you to fulfill fixtures. So if they are failing to fulfill fixtures in the Super League, they will not manage to fulfill fixtures in the National League. Even the struggling Lusaka Dynamos, the team which is on its knees, it has managed at least to be decent enough to fulfill their fixtures in the National League. But Beautycon, I think it's a very, very sorry sight. A team which represented Zambia in continental football a couple of years ago when they were drawn against Young Buffaloes of Eswatini and they got eliminated. We have seen players like Sambalungu played for Beautycon, Klins Kangwa, who is now a league champion in Serbia with Red Star Belgrade, Lamek Banda, who is now playing for Lecce in Serie A. So there have been decent players that have passed through. Moses Spiri is another name that I can throw in there. Isaac Shamjompa. It's sorry to see a Beautycon team that is going down this way. I think Chumunya Mwetwa has, with his technical bench, I think they've given their role. They've tried to try and stabilize and keep Beautycon afloat, but it hasn't been enough. This is a team that 5 days before the Super League, they were struggling to register players. It started then. You could see that even just the start of Beautycon in the Super League, it was pushed. There were a lot of efforts that were put in. They are working probably with 18 players throughout the season, and it's bad for Zambian football. And Ndola have lost a team that looked like it was going to be a powerhouse in Zambian football. I think lessons must be drawn from Beautycon. I think there was a lot of investment when the team. The story of Beautycon was they were in Choma as AM Holdings. They got promoted in Choma as AM Holdings. Then they shift base to Ndola, and then they changed the team to Beautycon. Then there was huge investment. We saw the likes of Clinton Mieso from Kenya, Chav Damaisha. They got him from TP Mazembe. It didn't work out. They brought in John Makwata. I think they brought in a lot of names into the Super League. Alidu Ali Kaembe. It didn't work out the way. Beautycon were changing players almost every window. They will bring in 10, they will release 10, they will bring in 10, they will release 10, and there was no clear roadmap with what they wanted to do. They didn't think about the long-term plan. It was just the short-term success that we are interested in. They didn't have youth structures that were strong, that will sustain this club. Even when they go and get stuff, they will get players from the youth players and bring them to the senior team. They sold players like Klins Kangwa and Lamek Banda. They made about $1.5 million, if I'm not mistaken, with the 2 transfers. How did they invest that money? I think it's very, very bad to see Beautycon go this direction. And this time around, they are supposed to face Musa. I believe Musa win this afternoon, walk over 3-0 Musa.
Red Arrows, Augustine. playing against Nkwazi, it's I would say it's a defense regardless of where we position the police service.
It's one of those games, local derbies, Nkwazi versus Red Arrows. Every season when these teams meet, they are fighting for something. Last season when they met, Red Arrows were fighting to win the league title, and they left it very, very late with a 90th minute winner by Trezor Shibwabwa. 3-2 Red Arrows won at Edwin Imbwela Stadium, which saw the match won and win the league title. This time around, they're coming up against Nkwazi side, who are fighting for their lives. They're fighting to survive relegation, and they've got someone who knows Red Arrows very, very well. In also Mutapa. He was the technical director at Red Arrows, but he's since moved on to Nkwazi. He's trying to save them from this relegation battle. But what we get now is that Justin Shonga is hitting top form at the right moment, probably to try and save this Nkwazi side from being relegated. Chisimbewe is going into this encounter, got a late winner against Prison Leopards. Then they were leading against Musa. Musa picked them back through Andrew Piri, brilliant strike. Then the game was cut short at halftime. We're still waiting for the ruling from the association. Red Arrows are eyeing that continental slot as well. They are in the hunt to try and qualify for continental football, but it's not in their hands. They have to hope for results going their way elsewhere, and them getting the job done with the oppositions that they face. Nkwazi is going to be a very, very tough game for Red Arrows to go there and pick up maximum points. I think it's another one of those games. It's either it's a draw or it's going to be a slander win for the hosts.
NAPSA Stars Augustine hosting Changa Rangers, and we've seen an NAPSA Stars that has just blown from nowhere into the top 4, and if they manage to beat Changa Rangers today, they will be in position number 2, depending on the result that Green Buffaloes will have.
Very, very interesting encounter. Changa Rangers versus NAPSA Stars. NAPSA Stars have been one of the teams that have been probably, I would say, the surprise package this season. What Pei Mutapa has done with his team, I think he's done very, very good work. This is a team that was playing in the National League last season, Amos. And what he has done in the space of 1 year is get them promoted to the Super League, win them the APSA Cup, and now they're dreaming of continental football. I think NAPSA Stars have taken very, very huge steps in Pei Mutapa's time in the space of 1 year, 8 months. He has been in charge of this NAPSA Stars team, and if they back him right in the transfer market, probably NAPSA Stars will be one of the names that will contend for the Super League come next season. He plays very, very good football. He's probably one of the most intelligent and master tactician in our league. They went to Chambishi last week at Ghana Stadium, drew new, or even in the press briefing before the game against Chambishi, he talked about teams that have got new coaches. There's always a response. And he talked about that game being very, very tricky. And he knew that Danka will go there and try and change the fortunes of Chambishi. And it happens to be like that way. They went and got a draw, which slowed down NAPSA Stars. NAPSA Stars have been on a winning streak. They went to Chambishi and draw. They have got an opportunity this afternoon against Changa Rangers side under Agre Chiange, who have not been very, very confusing to me, if you ask me. I think the best result that probably Changa, who feel they got under the tutorage of Agre Chiange, was the difficult win away in Choma when they went to his former team and won it by 1-0. This time around at Independent Hero Stadium, the last time they played at Hero Stadium, they played Red Arrows and they lost 3-1. They won't try and get a better result than Changa Rangers at Hero Stadium. They have had decent results in Lusaka. They came to Sunset Stadium and shocked Zanaco. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get something in the game against NAPSA Stars.
For Green Eagles, Augustine hosting Forest Rangers, and if Forest Rangers manages to beat, because these teams are just separated by a point, and this is where we say the race to the top 4 Augustine is very, very hot.
These are two teams that have been blowing hot and cold the entire season. I think the Green Eagles decided to part ways with Agwe Chiange. They brought in Alex Manamazawa. they gave him the job permanently. It hasn't been plain sailing for him. It has been very, very difficult. He's been getting results here and there, but there's no consistency again with our Green Eagles. They are fresh from getting a very, very good result away in Kitwe against the mighty Nkana Football Club. They won by 1-0. Can they back that up? If they can do so, they'll start dreaming and hoping of playing continental football. If you look at Forest Rangers on the other side, they are without their coach, Ian Bakala. He's away with the under-17. Luambo Moyela, he looked like the guy that was going to win the Golden Boot, but it hasn't happened for him in the second half of the season. It's very, very tight in the second half of the season. Teams will work out how you play, then they'll find the way of trying to match you, and it has happened for Forest Rangers. They were looking like they were going to go toe-to-toe with Power Dynamos, not just for continental places, but for the league title. But the second half of the season hasn't been very, very good for them. They've moved from Ndola Levi Mwanasa Stadium to Dola Hill, their usual home ground, but it hasn't brought a lot of fruits for them. They beat the last weekend. They beat Izitka Warriors. They were very, very victorious. Then now they are coming up against a Green Eagles team which is fresh from beating Ghana Football Club. It's another game where I feel Green Eagles will win this one, because now they've got Lewis Marcher. He will get them the goals and see them through.
Due to time, Augustine, just a quick one on this one. We saw the EPL getting hot over within the course of the week, where we saw Manchester City managing to beat Arsenal. That's by 4 goals to 1. Would you say this is where Arsenal dropped the title?
No, I think the race is still on. The same way Arsenal have been dropping points, probably City might drop points, but it's difficult to try and see where Manchester City will drop the points from. I think it was a disappointing performance from Mikel Arteta and his boys. You hoped Arsenal would go to the Etihad, keep it at 0-0 for large periods. Then you get the fans nervous. The fans will get on the back of the players. City will try and attack you even more. That's when you start finding spaces and utilizing them. But early on, you could see Arsenal went for the very, very high press at the Etihad, which proved to be costly for Arsenal, and it was damaging because City found a way of playing through that press very, very easily. They resorted to going long to Erling Haaland, and then the Jack Grealish, De Bruyne, those intelligent midfielders would bounce off Erling Haaland, and they'll pick up the pieces and make things happen because they played through the Arsenal press too easily. I felt probably Mikel Arteta could have done with a bit of change in terms of how the defensive lineup was. I didn't think Holding had it in him to try and play against Erling Haaland. What I thought it was, they could have played Ben White as a centre half and then have Tomiyasu as your right back. Have a very, very solid back four that will try and contain the Manchester City pressure. And the likes of Martinelli, I think, had probably one of their worst days in an Arsenal shirt. But all in all, when everything is said and done, Arsenal have been probably the best team in the Premier League this season. The brand of football they've played, the unity, they have been the most united team. They look like a team, Arsenal, but they've fallen short because they do not have the strength and depth that Man City has. Man City is blessed with a lot of talent and a lot of wealth in their squad. They can make like-for-like substitutions and they still be on the same level, but Arsenal do not have that luxury. I think Arsenal fans would... It's hurting right now, yes, but when the time is right, when they now start to reflect on the season, they will realize how far they have come under Mikel Arteta. They were a team that finished 5th last season, but this time around they pushed Manchester City all the way in the league title, and probably there is hope for the future.
Your closing remarks, Augustine, as we come to the end of the show.
Wow, I think it's been a roller coaster ride, and I would like to say a big thanks to the entire production team for making this possible, and a big thanks to you, the viewers out there, for tuning in. We always appreciate your effort and your support, and like always, I urge each and every one of you to trek to the nearest stadium and support Bola Yapazed, because local is laka, the Kitwe Derby is hot.
And hopefully an emphasis that we gave earlier when we started the show, where these games should be organized and arranged in a way that every supporter should benefit in terms of what to watch, because it's something that has to be looked into, and we keep on talking about this because Augustine mentioned it the last time, to say we need to be watching all these games and not forgetting our very own Camnet Stars Augustine First Division 2 fixture, Camnet Stars versus State House FC. That's tomorrow at 15 hours, and the game will be played at Kablonga grounds. And today, First Division 4 Developmental Football, Camnet Stars will be hosting on, and that's today, Saturday, 15 hours at Kablonga. So those who are around and are free can trek to Kablonga and support the lads, because they are a team to watch out, and they are also known as in the local national team. For me, Amos, aka Amore, this is where we have to come to the end of the show, and on behalf of the whole entire production team, Elijah upstairs, and not forgetting Pastors Victoria and Moses Silva for giving us this platform to give you nothing but the best in terms of sports. It's bye-bye. Stay glued, for Amazing Katamanda is coming with a weekly gospel show.